Remain seated and come to order.
Mr. Gary, we have all the jurors back.
We do, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Williams, anything we need to discuss before we go to our next witness?
Judge, I anticipate having, for housekeeping, I anticipate having 4 more witnesses that I call in my case.
Okay.
That would be removing Christy Falk. And after speaking with Mr. Davis, he and I about some things, I don't believe I'll have the need to call Robert Wester.
Okay.
So that would leave Mr. Arnold, Ms. Finch, Mr. Catalani, and then Ms. Chase again.
Okay.
Mr. Catalani,
Do you want to step out and release Mr. Wester?
if the court's all right with that, yes, I would.
Yeah. Mr. Davis, you want to put anything on the record with that?
No.
Okay. If you want to step out and take a second and just let Mr. Wester know you're not going to be needing him today.
Okay, of course, the jury is indicating he's in the witness room, right? Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Williams, who would you like to call next?
I'll be calling Mr. Arnold next, but just before we have the jury and judge, I was going to also let the court know that for Mr. Catalani, he has his notes with him. He's an FDLE chemistry analyst. I expect him to have a folder on the stand. It looks like it's green, so that's what that should be.
Okay.
And as always, Ms. Chase has her notes if she needs to refresh her recollection. That's the only thing that any witness should be bringing in the courtroom, just so we're clear.
Thank you, counsel. Mr. Davis, anything?
Actually, Mr. Williams, on the Penn Shaw video, how long is that video? It's not listed on here, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
So my notes that I have here, longer than I thought. It's 20 minutes. And I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's some indication that I know that Mr. Davis is as soon as I get out what we jointly agree is relevant, Judge, I'll ask Mrs. Bittner to pause the video and potentially shorten it, but my notes are 20 minutes long for that video.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Davis?
I'm happy at the moment, Judge.
Yep. Anything, Mr. Davis?
Yes, Judge, just one other thing. As far as the, again, playing of the Penn Shaw video, also discussed with Mr. Williams that Kenneth Shaw, in that, as a subject in that video, does have at least one prior felony conviction. We've agreed that obviously that would come out. Would it, Judge, when you give the, I'm assuming you'll probably give some instruction or something about the video being played, you want to inform the jury that there's, Mr. Shaw has one prior conviction, or should Mr. Williams bring that out on his direct? Because we've agreed that that's going to get to the jury. We just hadn't discussed how that was going to get to the jury.
Mr. Williams, do you have any objection to you getting it out on direct?
I don't know. No, I don't.
Or do you prefer I read a stipulated instruction?
I think that would be smoothest, because I haven't discussed that with Ms. Chase. So I would absolutely agree to a stipulation by the parties that Mr. Kenneth Shaw, one of the subjects of this arrest, has a prior felony conviction.
Okay, we'll talk more about that before we get to that witness.
Now, there would also be a Williams rule instruction that we would have to, then I would request. Okay, just making sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And that's gonna be under Chase, correct?
Yes, Judge.
All right, let's bring the jury back in.
All rise.
All right, please come to rest. State, who would you like to call next?
Kevin Arnold.
Kevin Arnold. Mr. Arnold, I'm gonna go ahead and swear you in again, sir.
Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? I do.
You can go ahead, Mr. Williams.
All right, good morning again. Just to be clear, would you state your name on the record?
Kevin Arnold.
All right, Mr. Arnold, we've heard from you a couple times in this trial, and I want to go back to some questions and the topic that you were first called about the patrol division.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall when you were first called, I asked you some questions about what a CAD report was, and do you remember testifying about that?
I do.
All right. Have you had a chance to review CAD reports related to former Deputy Zachary Wester when he was at the date of his temporary suspension, specifically August 1st of 2018?
Have I reviewed those
Have you
CAD reports?
had a chance to review CAD reports for him for that day, August 1st, 2018?
I have.
All right. And may I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes, sir.
For the record, I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 15A. You could look inside. Arnold, you can look inside and outside of that envelope. Let me know if you recognize those to be those reports.
Yes, sir, they are.
Judge, I'd move 15A into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
Be admitted.
Captain Arnold, in your review of those CAD reports associated with the defendant from August 1st, 2018, do those document in any way any type of a drug seizure that day?
No, sir.
Do they document or report any type of recovery of abandoned property from that day?
No.
Did you additionally review CAD reports from the defendant for the entire preceding month, specifically July of 2018?
I have.
May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes, sir.
I'll show you what's marked as 15B as in Bravo. Likewise, you will be outside and inside of that. Let me know if you recognize those to be those reports.
Yes, sir, these are the CAD reports.
Judge, I'd move State's Exhibit 15B as in Bravo into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
Be admitted.
For record purposes, 15A is a composite exhibit of 6 reports, which are all separately, separately broken up by paper clips. 15B is a composite exhibit of 79 reports, which are likewise separately broken up by paper clips. They are in date order. I'll ask you the same question for 15B, that whole month of July 2018. When you reviewed those CAD reports from the defendant for that whole month, did you see any kind of a drug seizure documented on those reports?
No,
Did you see any kind of documentation of a recovery of abandoned property on those reports,
no, sir.
particularly narcotics?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. That's all, Judge.
Mr. Davis?
Morning again.
Morning.
The CAD system that you currently have at the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, is that the same system that those reports came from?
No, it's not.
Have you guys upgraded your system?
That's correct.
When did you upgrade it?
I can't give you dates. It's been some time since after the hurricane that we actually implemented that new system.
Okay. What new, I guess, why was it updated? What new things do you have with the new system that you didn't have with the old?
The system we have is a very complex system now. It's ProPhoenix. There's a lot more information that can be entered and can be pulled to be utilized in writing incident reports and documentation and a lot of other stuff.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
This new system you have, you said it has additional features for additional information, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Does it still allow you to document and report whether it's recovered property or criminally recovered property from a drug seizure,
Yes, sir, it does.
just like the old one?
Just like the old.
That's all, Judge.
All right, Mr. Arnold, appreciate you being here today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Who would the state like to call next?
Nikki Finch.
Nikki Finch? You raise your right hand, ma'am.
You solemnly swear or affirm not to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
You can sit down. Thank you, Ms. Finch. Ms. Finch, a couple things. Our jury's out where our audience normally sits. If you'll speak loud enough that they can hear you, the closer you can get to that mic, the better. The second thing I would tell you, ma'am, is if you hear an objection, if you'll pause your testimony, I'll instruct you how to proceed, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Mr. Williams?
Good morning. Would you state your name for the record?
My full legal name is Nicole Marie Finch. I go by Nikki.
And how are you employed?
I am the sergeant over dispatch
All
at
right.
Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Generally, what does dispatch do for the sheriff's office?
We receive all 911 and non-emergency calls, and then we dispatch them to law enforcement or fire rescue. We get the apparatus that needs to go.
Does the dispatch section keep and maintain records of those kinds of calls?
We do the preliminary entry, like we'll open the case cards, and then after a deputy or fire rescue has closed them, it goes to the records department.
And are you able, over that section, are you able to continue to access records that dispatch has made once they've made them?
I am able to as a supervisor because I do the 911 recordings.
All right? And have you reviewed the date of August 1st, 2018 for any dispatch records documenting, with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, documenting any drug seizures?
I did not find any when I looked on that date that showed anything found or apprehended in a traffic stop or any other way.
That's all, Judge.
Mr. Davis?
No questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Finch. Appreciate you being here today, ma'am. Who would the state call next?
Sam Catalani.
Sam Catalani. You'll raise your right hand, sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Please be seated, sir. Mr. Catalani, as you get situated there, I want to talk with you really quick. Our jury is out where the audience would normally sit. That's due to some COVID precautions the court's taken. If you'll speak directly into the microphone loud enough that they can hear you, that would be appreciated. The second thing is if you hear an objection, pause your testimony and the court will instruct you how to proceed, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Williams?
Good morning. Would you state your name for the record?
Sure. My name is Sam Catalani.
Mr. Catalani, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement in Pensacola, Florida.
All right, what section do you work in?
I work in the seized drug department.
And in that department, do you perform analysis and testing on suspected controlled substances?
I do.
Would you briefly describe your education and training in order to have that job?
Sure. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree majoring in biology. I've completed FDLE's 9-month training program in the chemistry discipline, and I also undergo continuing education courses when they become available.
How long have you worked with FDLE in that capacity?
For 21 years.
In that time frame, have you performed tests for suspected controlled substances,
Yes.
specifically methamphetamine and cannabis, marijuana?
Yes.
All right. There's been previous testimony in this case about the methods used by your agency. Is Jeremiah Bordeaux your supervisor?
Yes, he is.
Okay, and it would be the same methods that he used, I guess, if he's your supervisor in that section, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever testified about your individual processing and analysis of suspected controlled substances in court before?
Yes.
Did you test items of evidence in this case that were forwarded to you from Special Agent Chase?
Yes, I did.
Did you prepare a report of the items that you tested?
Yes.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's marked as 14E as an echo. Open that up, inside, tell me if you recognize it to be that report.
Yes, I recognize it.
Judge, I'd move 14E into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
No objection.
Be admitted.
Move to publish.
You can publish.
Mr. Catalani, are you able to see this report on the screen in front of you?
I can see it.
Judge, is it all right if I position
Yes.
myself all those over there? Thank you. All right, we see just in the middle of the page, it's dated May 22nd of 2019, correct?
Yes.
All right, and We see, attention, Diana Chase, she was the case agent, correct?
Yes.
Right. And subjects, we have Zachary Wester at the bottom left hand, is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Bittner, would you scroll down a little? Now, on the right-hand side, across from the subject name, that's your name, correct?
Yes.
And is that indicating that you performed this testing on this report, correct?
That's correct.
All right, would you scroll down some more, Mrs. Bittner? Now, in this, let's go to where we can, just where it's evidence underlined, if you get that at the very top. There you go. I just have some questions about how this is organized for the jury's reference. So we have clearly evidence in all caps, which is underlined, and then we have the items of evidence under it, listed by both FDLE item number and agency exhibit number and description of the item, correct?
Yes.
Those FDLE item numbers, that's a lab item number that you assign to the case when you're testing it and keeping track of it, correct?
That's a number that's given to the piece of evidence once it's submitted to the laboratory.
Yes.
So yes.
Okay. And it starts with 3 and continues through 16 on what's page 1 of 2 of your report. Mrs. Bittner, would you scroll down? And then it continues on page 2 of your report from an FDLE item number 17 through 21. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you perform, perform the analysis that you've previously described on each of those items?
Yes, I did.
All right, and then we have a results section in all caps underlined as well. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right, let's scroll down just a little bit, Mrs. Bittner. Thank you. And then we see those same numbers 3 through 21 under the results section as well.
Yep.
And then there are 3 columns there. The column on the right, are those the results after you perform that type of testing?
Yes.
Right? I'd like to ask you about specifically item number 5 and 6. Your report indicates that there were no controlled substances per Florida statute were identified. What does that mean?
That means when I perform my analysis, there was no controlled substances in that exhibit identified.
All right. Is it possible that there is a small portion, but there's not a sufficient quantity for, like, an analytical threshold has not been met for testing?
It's a possibility.
Of course, it's a possibility. There's no controlled substances either, though, right?
Correct.
Okay. For item number 7, we have a finding, and just for convenience, that's item number 7 and 16 of the same finding, which is insufficient substance for identification. Is that correct?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That means when I perform my analysis, I had an indication that there was a controlled substance present, but it did not meet the threshold requirement in order for me to identify it.
For those 2 items, item number 7 and 16, did your test allow you to determine what the indication was for?
Yes, I have an indication of what it was, but there was not enough to identify. Yes.
Okay. What was the indication for, understanding that that's not? I'll move on. I would withdraw.
Mr. Stay now. Keep going.
Now we come to items 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, and 17. Those all had the same results, correct?
Yes,
And those all tested for methamphetamine?
that is right.
And then for item 13, 18, 19, 20, and 21, did those all have the same result as well?
Yes, they did.
And what was that for?
I identified cannabis.
That's all, Judge.
Mr. Davis?
No questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Catalani. Appreciate you
You're
being here today. Jury, we're going to take an early lunch break today. It is 11:10. I've got some things I need to get ready for before our next witness, and it's just an appropriate time to take a lunch break. I'm going to ask that you be back in the jury room at 12:30. We will start at 12:30. Again, you will be in lunch break until 12:30. I'm going to ask you to leave your blue notebooks in your chairs. I'm going to ask you to leave your badges on, your name badges. Don't talk with anybody. Don't talk with each other. Don't research. Don't do anything in relation to this case other than the evidence and testimony that you see and hear in this courtroom. If you need an additional notebook or a notepad, please let Mr. Bailiff Gary know, and we'll make sure that you get an additional notepad. Anything else, Mr. Williams, before we release the jury for lunch?
No, Judge.
Anything else, Mr. Davis, before we release the jury for lunch? All right, we are adjourned. Be back in the jury room at 12:30. Thank you.
All rise.